Okay, we've known each other a long time. Do you remember working on Laugh-In?
I do. Yeah. Even though I was real young, I remember it because I was excited to go do the first episode of the 2.5 seasons I did. And because I watched it, my family and I would watch Rowan Martin's Laugh-In. And there I was. Everything was colorful, as you remember. And like walking through, one of the first things I saw was Lily Tomlin's big oversized rocking chair where she played Edith Ann. And throughout time, she used to have me come up and sit with her because, she was playing a kid and I was a kid, just to talk. There was no bit there. But I remember much of it, yeah. Met some pretty outstanding people, John Wayne.
From the heart of Hollywood, it's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show with Patrick Labyorteaux.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.
Tonight's episode, Moosie Drier.
Patrick Labyorteaux Show. He's the one you gotta know.
Okay, you know him as the adorable little kid from Laugh-In and Oh God, and I know him as the adorable little kid from Laugh-In and Oh God. Please welcome Moosie Drier.
Hello, Patrick.
Hey, dude, how are you?
Good, man. How are you? Good.
Okay, so we're getting to your career, but sometimes we know people in this business for so long.
Yep.
I don't know how we know each other. It's been it's something that's like with the Stephen Manleys of the world, like you just know them from the room where you're auditioning. Is that where we met?
We ended up doing an ABC pilot together, a sitcom, but we really just
but that was years.
Well, we knew each other through auditions, I believe. I mean, we were seeing each other out all the time,
And back then it was commercials, a lot of commercials. So I think maybe it was the commercial because I don't remember, I kind of remember the big stuff I was up for.
Yeah.
But commercials, there was just always something that was, we were always in a commercial room.
Yeah. And there was a lot of them. Like you'd go hit 3 or 4 commercial auditions in a day. I don't know about you, but I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. So it was Laurel Canyon almost every day after school, and that's why I like to work. I didn't want to have to go on, drive, getting car sick over the canyon all the time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
For sure. So we all grew up in the San Fernando Valley. I found out that you went to with Ike and Al Eisenman and Richard Horvitz were all in your school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys. So let's start. Before we start all of this.
Yeah.
Moosie Drier. Never asked this. Where's Moosie? Is that your given name? What's up with that?
What's it to you? And what's Labyorteaux? How do you spell that?
Oh, well, you can make it up however you want. It doesn't matter.
You should do a game with your guest. Quick, close your eyes and spell my last name, Labyorteaux. Yeah, I can do it.
My brother actually has the best line in the world. They go, well, how do you spell Labyorteaux? He goes, the usual way.
I've heard him say that. By the way. I've heard Matt say that. Wait, what was the question? Where am I from?
What Moosie? What's Moosie?
It was the most ridiculous thing. My mom, so I never met my father, but my mom raised a bunch of us kids, and apparently Dad and Mom were kind of kooky, and it was the intention was to name me Gary, and it just didn't happen. And then I was called Moosie before my mom put me into show business when I was like 5 years old. So when I started to get like contracts and stuff from working, my mom legally changed my name to Moosie. From as long as I could.
Was your birth certificate name Gary?
No, yes, it was Gary. But my passports, everything, my driver's license since I was 16, and my W-2s, my tax returns from when I was 5 years old is Moosie Drier. There's no Gary anywhere to be found. So, yeah, I know,
right.
Odd.
But, okay, so I'm not doing a deep psychological dive here, but you say you never met your dad.
Yeah.
Cry for me, Moosie. I need a clip. What's the deal with not meeting your dad?
That's your brother. That's Pamela Ferdin, the amazing Pamela Ferdin. Katie Kirsten, another great actor. I'm not going to cry for you, although I did have to. You used to have to cry, didn't you? I had to do that.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was on Little House. Of course,
Yeah.
I had to cry.
A lot of people don't realize this. It's not really a loss if you've never met your father.
For sure.
The love
But was there a
wasn't
story
made
behind
away
it?
from me.
Right.
The only thing you might want to cry about is when your friends are going to the father-son picnic doing the potato sack race. I would always
How
win that.
many of those have we gone to?
I would win that because I never had a large human tied to my leg, so it was perfect.
No,
So
but I
anyway,
get that. I mean,
that's-
obviously, being adopted, I get the idea of like what's lost is nothing's lost if you never had it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's even back in the 70s. That was kind of the 70s was like the first the first decade where people were getting divorced or there were single moms, which was like a weird thing. So was that a thing in your early life of like having a single mom? Like,
Well, Pat, but so you never met my mom. I mean, it was all I knew, for one thing, was my one parent.
yeah.
My mother, I miss my mother tremendously. She passed in 1999, and I was a mama's boy. I was an absolute mama's boy. It's funny, randomly you mentioned Stephen Manley earlier. When we were kids, I had a sleepover play date at Stephen Manley's house, and it was so cool. I think his grandfather was the original Grumpy on Popeye or something like that. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, he was big in the silent films, and he was
Yeah.
Like,
But anyway, I got homesick, and they actually drove me home because I was crying. I was like 41. No, I was like 6 or 7 or whatever. Anyway, my mom was everything to me, so
you said she raised a lot of kids. How many kids are in your family?
it wasn't like she was a single mom, but this is what happened. My mom was one of those cases. Do you remember the movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yeah.
Okay, my mom was extremely obese,
Okay.
and she also she was not mobile. So you didn't leave the house or cross the room without making sure she has everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so she never, not one day did she go on one audition or one day on a set with me. So I always had guardians and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I forgot your question in full. I think that
No, I mean, that basically, I just wanted, it was such an interesting intro that, because you're right. Us kids, I remember Todd Bridges' mom because she was scary and loving all at the same time. You remember but I didn't remember your mom, and I never knew why. Now I know why. And you said there was a lot of kids in your family. How many kids you got in your family?
Okay. How much room on your hard drive? I'll try to make this fast. So I grew up, there were 4 of us growing up, okay, together.
Okay.
But before my mom and dad got married, they had 2 children out of wedlock in Chicago. They went out for adoption. Then they had 5 kids. Dad takes off. The new baby gets adopted also in Chicago. 3 full-blooded siblings grew up in Chicago. 4 of us grew up out here in LA. Now, 2 of the siblings we did not grow up with are in our lives and have been now since my mid-20s and the other since, I don't know, maybe about 20 years ago. So, yeah. And like that. And so there's one sibling we haven't met yet because we respect the fact that she doesn't desire to meet her biological family. I think they're hiding that from me. I think she knows me somehow and went, no, thanks. No, we're good. Yeah, so it's really unusual upbringing.
Were you aware of, when did you find out that you had other siblings?
I only found out about one of them when I was like 12 or 13 years old. I found out I had a brother named Larry. And what happened was, so I was in my mid-20s, and my buddies and I were up in Lake Tahoe. We were skiing, and I went into the lodge, to get chilly or whatever, take a break. Some guy taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, you have a brother named Larry? And so like you and like many, in a non-pompous way, sorry, but you'd get recognized. And I wouldn't get, hey, are you Moosie Drier, as much as I would get, did you go to my high school? They just saw your face.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And I actually, and I was always try to be my best about that, dude. You know, and I wouldn't go straight to, no, you may have seen me on television. Heck no. But I told him, no, I don't. And, you know, I have one brother, and, you know, his name's Rocky, he's older brother, whatever. And I'm sitting there at the table with my friends, and I'm like thinking, wait a minute. Wait a minute. My mom has told me about this Larry who was put up for adoption. I have a brother.
Oh, so you had the name in your
I knew, but
archives.
I hadn't met him yet.
Right, it wasn't connected, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about him in a while. So I went back over to this guy's table and I said, you know, this may sound crazy, but after further review, come to think of it, I do have a brother named Larry. I think you're talking about, I don't know, where are you from? And he said, Chicago. I'm like, my heart sunk. And he said that my brother, he managed this pizza shop. And my brother knew who I was. And I was on some show, specifically a sitcom, Just the 10 of Us. And I was a guest spot, the boxer guy. Thanks for watching. And my brother stopped, and this guy who I saw in Lake Tahoe worked for my brother, and he said, you know, to the people around him, see that guy up there? That's my brother. He's an actor. We've never met. And my brother and I do look a lot alike. Like, we look like brothers. And so I bought the guy a beer or food or whatever, and I said, please tell me about my brother, you know, and then and then a couple years later, I did finally meet him. Sorry that was long-winded, but.
No, that's beautiful. Okay, so I'm adopted, obviously. I could be one of your brothers. We're not sure. At this point, everything is up for grabs. Right. But the siblings you had that you're talking about, they're full-blood related. Mom and dad are the same.
100% full blood. Wait, and I've got something to tell you that's the craziest of all. So there were the two out of wedlock that were adopted out, and then 5 they had when they got married, right?
Right.
One of these 2 we've met, one of them we haven't. So they're both girls that they had first. And one of them they named Peggy for the reasons, but when they adopted Peggy out, they thought they would never see Peggy again. And when they got together and had a family, one of the girls they named Peggy. So now we have Peggy in our lives who we met, you know, when we were grown-ups, full-blooded sister. I have 2 Peggy, and Peggy surfaced from Chicago to Sherman Oaks, California, of all places.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And she is, I love both my Peggies. No, I love all my sisters. I love all family, but it's crazy. I mean, I have 2 Peggies. Kind of like George Foreman had all his Georges, you know?
Right, yeah. This is, I mean, of course, I'm sure everybody asks you, where's this sitcom that you need to write?
I don't know if it's a sitcom or just a therapy shit. I'm not sure.
Act 1, beginnings. Why do you want to be an actor? But like, there's so much going on there. Does that play into it? How did you get into acting? Why are you an actor?
Well, so my mom met some woman named Mitzi McGregor when she came with 4 of us kids out to start a new life in California. I was 1 when that happened, but by the time I was 4 or 5, she met this woman, and the woman was a child's agent, and we all just started going out on auditions. You know, my mom put us all in there. I had an older brother who passed away, but he never got it. He never acted for a day in his life. But my 2 older sisters used to act too when they were kids. They did some stuff. But for me, it kind of stuck. I really enjoyed the process of it. Again, I didn't like the auditioning and driving over Lower Canyon and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the first things I did was this film where I played Jack Lemmon's son, and I went to New York to do this movie, you know, and with a bunch of good actors in it, Jason Robards, Barbara Harris.
Right.
Do you remember Lisa Gerritsen?
Not by name, but
right.
I might recognize her because
She was an outstanding actress. Anyway, so I played her sister, and there was a moment where I was very little too. There was a moment where I realized I love doing this. This is what I want to do. And so got back to LA, and as time moved on, my sisters wanted to do other things, and I wanted to stay acting. And that's what happened. That's how.
So when I would see you, would one of your sisters be your
It was
guardian?
one of many people. It was either Anson Williams from Happy Days.
Seriously?
Yeah. So when I was really young, before Happy Days, we always talk about it. He's such a good guy. He would drive me around on auditions for whatever my mom was paying him to go. Yeah. And it was my sisters. It was my mom's friends. I had guardians. It was never, of course, my mom. But like, yeah, that it was random people who were available that my mom can get to cart me over to.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it happens all the time. On the Little House, we were just talking, and there were lots of kids that were there just with a guardian because their parents had other kids that they needed to take care of. So, okay, because of your unique situation with being on Laugh-In, before that, I mean, like the movie you just mentioned, what was the name of that movie that you went to New York on?
It was called The War Between Men and Women.
Okay.
Actually, I was biologically Jason Robards' son. He was my father, but Barbara Harris and him had split, and so Jack Lemmon and Barbara Harris were together, and Jack Lemmon was my father figure. But anyway, it's called The War Between.
Not the same Barbara Harris as ADR, though, right? Different ADR.
No. This is the same Barbara Harris as Freaky Friday.
As the actor.
Many other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so because of Laugh-In, were you, I mean, this was Laugh-In was after, but you worked with a ton of famous people there when you were doing this movie, and then you did Up the Sandbox with Barbra Streisand and Irving Kershner, who directed Empire, of course. Which, were you aware of who any of these people were, or were you just like, they're nice people to work with?
Yeah, absolutely. I was a kid with zero structure as far as being able to, I could stay up I watched Carson on school nights. So I knew who most of the grown-ups were when I'd go.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
There was, Patrick, I bet you have this. Like, there was a couple, there was one specific moment in my life, and I was very, very young. It was back when I did Laugh-In, that it's not a brag, it's not a flex, it's just like a holy crap, did that happen? It's like if you ever played that game, one of these things isn't true. And, this would be the one people would guess. But when I was a kid, I was at this NBC affiliate gala. And I was a little tuxedo, fancy night out with whoever my guardian was. And I got a tap on my shoulder, said, "Excuse me, are you Moosie Drier?" I said, "Yeah, someone would like to meet you." And I go over to this table. He's very old, but I was Groucho freaking Marx. Yeah, and get this.
God.
He asked me for my autograph. Now, I do remember this. He said my grandson watches Laugh-In or something like it was but I don't care. I signed an autograph for Groucho Marx. So that's my that happens all the time. No, that's like okay, lightning hit, and it's ridiculous, and
right.
Of course I'm not worthy of something like that.
You work with one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, Lassie. Please tell us your experience.
Lassie was difficult to work with because his ego. What a bitch. No. Hang on. I got to pull something up real quick. I did Lassie. That was also one of the first. We're going to have to speed talk because we haven't gotten past me being 7 or 6.
True, for sure.
But, here it is. Oh, God. So Pamela Ferdin, who was on that show, she sent me this picture just the other day. Do you know Pam?
No. I don't even know if I've known of her. No, but it could be the face.
One of the best actors of our time. I mean, she was amazing. She was on the Tony Randall show. She was on, I can't find it. She was on.
Know this person.
You look her up, and you'll go, "Oh my goodness!" Yes, she was in everything. Beguiled,
sure
Clint Eastwood, who she was absolutely outstanding in The Beguiled. Okay, I guess I'll have to give this up because I can't find it. But she sent me a picture with me and Lassie and her. Anyway, so Lassie was with I think there were a lot of versions of the Lassie TV show, but mine was with the trainer Red Weatherwax, and Pam Linford, and Larry Wilcox. Before he was on a motorcycle, he was on a horse and Lassie. And I can't remember who else. But yeah, I only did a two-part. I did 2 episodes. And I was a mute. I only said one word, and it was Pamela's character's name at the end of the last episode that I did. Like I couldn't talk, so it was the easy. I was off book, by the way, almost halfway through.
That's a pro right there, baby.
Yeah.
We'll be back after these messages. Have you ever thought about becoming an actor and making your friends and family jealous? Well, have I got a deal for you. Here at Working Actors School, we offer many different classes so you can become a famous actor like me. And we have a delightful selection of classes, including Adult Weekly. It's every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Here you will learn how to be an actor with other adults. How do we do it? How is it possible? Is it a miracle? Yes, it is. A miracle called Zoom. We teach everything online so you can become a famous actor and impress your friends and family. So if you want to be a famous actor and make your friends and family jealous, then you need to sign up at Working Actors School. You can get a hold of us at workingactorschool.com. You can sign up for classes at workingactorschool.com. You can make a reservation for the class online at workingactorschool.com. So come check us out. It's workingactorschool.com. Act 2. Success.
I want to find out how you got into Laugh-In and what that experience was. Already you've said that you had watched the show. So what was it like knowing that you're reading for something that you're already aware of?
It was a little intimidating because, you're seeing something that you watch in your house on television. Now you're there. Everything seems smaller in person than on television. A lot of things, especially on videotape, that flat look, somehow enlarges the stage, and you get there and you're like, oh, this is where Johnny Carson stands, huh? You're like, really, it's a really small, much smaller. And Laugh-In was a little intimidating, but like, I'm not too bad. Everyone was great to me, Here's my bullet.
Did you audition on the set? Is that why you're bringing it up? Or was it on audition?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they were looking for a kid to be a news correspondent for Dan and Dick Do the News, or Laugh-In in the
For the kids' news, right?
Yeah. And which, by the way, George Schlatter put that news segment on Laugh-In, and then he had one of his writers was Lorne Michaels. So he believes.
I have that here. Like Lorne Michaels is like, baby Lorne Michaels is with you.
And Lorne Michaels goes over and starts SNL and has Weekend Update, the news thing. So, there's a little like, and George is a little like, hey, he took my fake news thing from me.
Took his bit.
So anyway, they were looking for a correspondent to do the kid news for kids. And I said, so you screen test, and whatever you do, they give you a little monologue and you do it. And I guess I got it. And so how that show went was Paul Keyes was the head writer on Laugh-In, and he would send me audio cassette. They bought me a cassette player, and he would send me audio cassette tapes with him reading, doing an entire line read of a monologue. For one, I wasn't old enough to read yet, so that was good.
Okay.
2, I actually never hated line readings like some actors. Although I wasn't really an actor then. I was just some kid. I was a parrot, And then I'd show up and I'd do about, 5 to 7 of them. And they'd put a different sweatshirt on me and a different hat sideways. It was my little gig, I guess.
Created an entire look of the decade. I remember in my composite shots for commercials, we had to have that hat on because Moosie had it on Laugh-In.
That's true. That's funny. I remember Dick Martin walking down the hall, these long corridors or whatever, there's makeup on the left and dressing rooms on the right, those kind of like studio NBC.
Where did they shoot this? At Burbank, NBC Burbank?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he would walk around with, the tissue around the neck because there's makeup, and he has a white shirt and just his white tighty-whitey underwear. And socks. And I was a kid and thinking, you can do that? Guy's in his underwear, And then also, if you walked near Alan Seuss's, I don't even remember, It would smell like marijuana, and I knew that smell at that age because I had a much older brother in the 70s, who had a den in the back that smelled like that special incense. And but my time there was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. And then it would come on, and my family would watch it, and we'd be okay, cool. And then, then I'm back in public school, and then I have a target on my back because you were on TV, and there were only X amount of channels back then. So these kids and their families also watched Laughing. So that was that. But about that.
Yeah, I was just telling somebody I had a Cheerios commercial that was like a national, which is always great. But for the next year and a half, I was called Cheery Nose, which I kind of appreciated but kind of hated. Yeah. So when you're doing the laugh-in, and you mentioned Lorne Michaels. I mean, Richard Nixon is famously on the show, but you got Ruth Buzzy, Artie Johnson, Lily Tomlin, Goldie Hawn, Alan Seuss. I mean, literally anyone who's anybody. Steve Martin, I'm sure, was on at some point, or maybe he was with the Smothers Brothers. I don't know, but like everybody was there. When they shoot kids, a lot of times they'll shoot you by yourself, which sounds like they did. Mm-hmm. So what was your interaction with some of these other actors? You mentioned Lily Tomlin.
Primarily, I was alone doing my monologue, but on the stage, so I'm in my treehouse, right? Well, over there is that, to the left of me was the big wall that they pop out of, the colorful wall and all that stuff. And over here's whatever sketch they have set up. So, I mean, I'm not alone in a room with a green screen or anything like that. Things were going on, working, pounding hammers. Okay, quiet. We're rolling. And then everyone would shut up and watch. And then they keep going. And but I did do some sketches with some of the others. There weren't a lot. Do you remember there was like this corny dance segment where they're all groovy and whatever, and then they'd stop. Yeah. Someone would say something, and then the other would reply, and there's your joke, wonk wonk, and then they keep dancing. I was in a couple of those, with Goldie Hawn, I remember. And then at one point they brought in a girl, Mona Tara, to be with me, and then I actually don't know what happened. Then they brought in another boy, so then it was two of us in a treehouse for a little while, Todd Bass, and then I think it was just me again. But then then eventually Laugh-In ended. Yeah,
but I mean, without making too fine a point on it, again, like you said, 3 networks. Even when a show is considered failing, it was getting 25 million views.
Yeah,
and Laugh-In was a huge cultural demarcation point as far as that. So everyone was aware of that. So you're living with that. Again, I usually don't do it this way, but I want to jump way ahead to Kids Incorporated and ask, because that's very Laugh-In. Did you have a relationship to that, thinking, oh, this is like what I did when I was a kid, or was it completely different?
It was what it was. I never really thought, it wasn't really Laugh-In to me. It was a kid show I had to do because when I moved out when I was 16 years old, it turns out that my taxes were never filed. So I had a tax lien against me and owed a tremendous amount of money to the IRS. So when I was working jobs doing like guest spots, or I was on a series or whatever, my checks would just come into the mail, and it would just be the stub. It would they took the check, IRS tax lien garnished wages.
Right.
It was a red stamp. I'm like, this was a shock to me, and not to put down Kids Incorporated. I really love a lot of the people all the people that I worked with on that show, but it was a gig. I had to start digging myself out of this tax debt that I knew nothing about. I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do about taxes? And so I did Kids Incorporated. At the time I started like feeling a little like eye rolly and resentment, like I wanted to be an actor, and I'm like in a dream sequence.
Oh, for sure. No, I get it.
Whatever, but it was, then I grew up and realized, and I told Tom Lynch this recently, he was the showrunner and creator of that show, that, eventually I got a little older and went, get over yourself. This is for children. I became a dad too, also, so I understand.
Right.
That it's like, if it made kids happy and there were some decent messages there, shut up. So what? You wanted to be an actor. That I got you out of your tax debt. And then you went on to do other things. So, yeah. Anyway.
Okay, well, good. We'll get back to that because I have a couple other questions. But so you did Laugh-In. You explained how it made you like so popular on the schoolyard. You did a bunch of stuff here, man. Adam 12, one Adam 12, one Adam 12, the FBI, the Waltons, Little House, Police Story, Phyllis. There's a whole MTM world that I never got into. Obviously, with the Bob Newhart show, you were on there. You did Big John, Little John. Did you get to work with Robbie on that one?
Yes.
Or was that... Okay, so you guys have worked together.
Yes, a couple
before
times.
You stole his job, which we'll get to. So let's talk about Bob Newhart. Another like huge show that you're a big part of, and they shot that at MTM out in Studio City, right?
Yeah.
How was your experience on Bob Newhart and the people working with all those
Probably,
amazingly fun people?
even though, we're still talking about when I was little and didn't grow up, be like a young adult actor when we did our sitcom together, whatever. Even though that was way, way back then, still, I have to say my favorite gig ever was the Bob Newhart show.
Why? Why is that?
Because the people, like it was such a great little family, and I was already a fan of the show. I was a huge fan of Mary Tyler Moore and her show, and to go back and do multiple episodes and play Howard's son, Little Howie, was when I knew it was like, I have a week coming up, because I wasn't on every episode. So when it happened, I just loved it. I loved every single person there: Jack Riley, Peter Bonders, Marsha Wallace, Suzanne Plachette, Bill Daly, of course. I don't know, just the memory. It was a happy time for me, and the writing.
Yeah.
Mary Tyler Moore show, and then Bob Newhart. I mean, their writers were just so good, so good. Your brother and I talked about this. I had him on my podcast because your brother did a guest spot on the Bob Newhart show, and I was getting a couple of us who actually had been on the show when Mr. Newhart passed away. It's just kind of reminisce and talk about. Yeah, just a good.
Yeah, wasn't Sparky on it with you guys?
Yeah, Sparky Marcus, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
But that's that. Newhart was just great. Everyone treated you well. And Bob didn't really like to have an extra rehearsrsal day that wasn't necessary. So instead of like Monday through Friday, it was like Tuesday through Friday, because they're going to change the script anyway, after.
Right.
Yeah. So he just kind of shortened it. So there was no heavy lifting, and the audience would come in and the band would start playing and the lights are on, and you knew
that's my favorite part of a sitcom is that let's put on a show feel on show night where you have the live band to keep the audience interested. You get to have the experience of a live theater production without any of the stress, because if it doesn't work, you just do it again.
Yeah, but there was even less stress because I've done a lot of sitcoms, and there was less stress on that. I've done the ones where like,
No,
I'm
for
not
sure.
thinking this is going to be fun. Because we're going to get laughs. I'm thinking, I hope we get laughs. With Newhart, you know you're going to get laughs because it's so well written and the people are so talented around you. You're just looking forward to it, So the pressure was off. It wasn't, some of the other shows, where it's like, I hope they have a laugh track waiting to,
Right. Pause to place laugh here.
Yeah.
Before we get too far away from it, I'm just not a good interviewer with you because I know you too well. You mentioned Lily Tomlin and you in the big giant Edith Ann chair talking. Was that part of the show, or was that just something Lily did with you?
No. I mean, like everyone knows, there's a lot of waiting around and stuff, So no, she was like waiting to do her thing, and I was probably coming in, or I don't know how it worked, but she's like, Moosie, come on, and she would speak in her. My name is Edith Ann, I'm 5 years old. Remember her voice? And my voice is ridiculous as well. So like she'd like come up and she'd sit but she wasn't pandering to a little child, whatever. She would just like, some adults are pretty cool with kids. Like, so how was your day today? Just talking to you like you and I would talk to each other instead of, hey, little Patrick. They're not.
Yeah, Michael Landon was like that. Michael, I mean, he wouldn't talk to you about adult things, but he would talk to you about your things, and he would listen and talk back. And someone like Lily Tomlin, who's like so creatively amazing, I also kind of think maybe she was kind of sucking the young juice out of you to play Edith Ann more like a real live kid.
Nah,
You know what I mean? Like if she was
didn't need anybody's help. I know what you're saying. I mean, you do what you know, you write what you know, you perform what you take things out of other things, but no. She's too brilliant. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to, so you did Bob Newhart. I mean, like I'm saying, these great. So you're on Oh God. Now, I've had Robbie on the show, and Robbie had this lined up. He was going to play.
I'm sorry. Just give me his last name one more time.
Robbie Rist. You might know him as Oliver from the Brady Bunch and from Meth Gator, the feature film that I starred in.
Thank you. Boy, you should have led with that.
Should have led with Meth Gator. So in Oh God, he tells the story about, obviously at the time he looked very much like John Denver with the glasses and the bowl haircut, and then the shocking casting news that reverberated throughout Hollywood is that now you're playing his son and not Robbie Rist.
Yeah.
How did Oh God happen for you?
Robbie and I have such a long running little jab at each other about things, and I know God's one of them. How'd it go for me? It went like, had an audition, booked it. I didn't remember, but I could tell you this though. I remember feeling the same way everybody else did. So I got there. There was a moment, where I always knew when I was young, and I'm sure you and Matt were very privy. You don't just go asking the director or anyone a question if they're in the middle of something, right? Where a lot of kids don't know that. But there was an opportunity where I think Carl Reiner said something to me like, where it opened up some conversation. Anyway, I said to him, I got to say, even I thought Robbie Rist was going to come play John's son. Everybody talks about how much he looks like him. And he said something like, yes, and Robbie's great, but he looks so much like him that it would maybe almost take away from what we're doing. Like, it's not about
that. Yeah.
He looks too much like him, which I always tell Robbie that Mr. Reiner said, I love Robbie, but there was dialogue. Just to mess with him.
Now, okay, my prep on this is horrible. I had no idea. Carl directed the movie or wrote the movie, or
the same director as Summer School. You've seen Summer School.
How did you like working with Carl?
I loved him. I've told the story before, but I'll make it real quick. There was a scene in Oh God that was shot with Terry Garr, John Denver, myself, and Rachel Longacre, who was my sister, or I was her brother. Anyway, we were having a family breakfast scene, and it's just chaotic, like great chaotic dialogue before school and the work day and all that. And Rachel Longacre is telling the rest of the family how she wants to be, when she grows up, she's going to be a lesbian. And it was like, all right, cool, whatever. And she was taking drama in school, blah, blah, blah. Basically, she was trying to say thespian, right? And it was a little funny, though. Carl Reiner was like just a funny guy. And he let us improv, and it was my favorite scene. And somehow Carl Reiner knew that was my favorite scene. So at the screening, the premiere, Warner Brothers, wherever it was, Mr. Reiner found me and said, hey, just want you to know, I don't want you to be too disappointed, but that scene didn't make it into the film. This is before we're about to see the first,
the final cut.
And we all know that happens. He's like, the running time, or it wasn't driving the story or something, whatever. But he was that cool of a guy that he must have, saw me and went, I'm going to go tell this young actor who played the son in this film this, and he didn't have to. But that's a good man, Yeah.
Well, I remember him being very humanistic in his approach to. He would always say it's just a movie, like. Except obviously Carl Reiner, he's the guy behind the Dick Van Dyke Show, and he's wrote for Your Show of Shows, and he's everything there is in entertainment. Carl Reiner has done, including creating Rob Reiner. So it's like but in his heart, it's all about the people. Did he ever play the charades game on your set?
Not that I remember.
or not charades. Simon Says. Okay. He would do these Simon Says games on summer school, which while they were doing the lighting, where he was just so smart, and he'd get everybody out with, I can't even do it, but I was just curious. What was, obviously God, you worked with George Burns. How was that at that point? So now you've got Groucho, George Burns. What was that like?
All the cigar smokers. It was cool. George Burns was, my mom said to me, so you know how like the Grouchos or George Burns, and like one time I had a couple scenes with Myrna Loy. Well, I was a kid, like, okay, great. But do you remember, so I would be able to gauge the caliber of celebrity I'm going to work with based on the adults around me and how they're behaving, that someone's coming in. You know what I mean? If I didn't really know who they were. George Burns, like George and Gracie, no, I wasn't exactly. I was staying up to see Carson, but I didn't really know much about him at that point. I remember my mom saying, you're gonna work with, you may be doing George Burns' last movie, because he was kind of old then. Well, he went on to live like 30 more years and do a ton of movies, So he was cool. He once called me into the dressing room. So they had a dressing room outside the soundstage, and he had one also inside the stage, so he didn't have to walk too far when needed. And it was like a little box with just smoke coming out of it. And he was just sitting there. And I remember I'm like, "Hey, kid," and he called me in, and he was another one of those. Like, he was just like, I didn't ask him one thing. He asked me about my life, who's my best friend, and he's just curious, and he was just asking me, "You like acting?" and stuff like that. Loved him.
Fantastic.
John Denver, I love John Denver. Were you?
Let me just slow down just 1 second, only to say that it's hard for us to remember at this age, especially since he's gone now, what a phenomenon John Denver was in pop music and in the popular culture at that time. And then when you guys were doing this was like at the peak of that. So I just wanted to frame your relationship with him, because it was like, yeah, George Burns, huge. Terry Garr, oh my God, I love her. But like, John Denver was a big, big deal. What was that like?
You just said it. He was, on the radio all the time, and his music and his voice was so clean and beautiful. And I just became a huge John Denver fan before doing that movie, before ever knowing I was going to play his son.
Would he sing on the sets at all?
Okay, this is it. Okay. So I've told this before too, and hopefully no one will be too bored of this. But so he and I had this one scene where he comes to pick me up at school, and the word's out about how he claims to have met God, right? So it's embarrassing to kids. And I'm like, and the scene I think was longer than it turned out to be in the edit, which, right. So one time when we were at the house on location, not in the soundstage, he asked me to come to his motorhome a couple times and run a couple future scenes, one that didn't make it in and one that we did do. We're running lines. Two things that happen. One is I'm in a motorhome after running the scene a couple times, listening to John Denver sing, just him and I in a motorhome with the acoustic guitar. Kill me now. Wow. I'm good. I've had a good run.
Personal concert.
13 or 14 or whatever it was at that point. Yeah, amazing. And also, when you say about where he was in his career at that time, people are funny. Like, I always remember this, that when we would go from the front of the house, that was our family's house, to lunch or dressing rooms or wherever, I would walk with John Denver, and we would all come out of there together. We're done with the scene, or there's a break, they're lighting, whatever. And some guy from the neighborhood, this was shot in North Hollywood, would walk along John Denver with Rocky Mountain High or Sunshine on My Shoulders playing on the recorder and follow him playing his music to him. I've never understood what that behavior was, or it wasn't harmful or whatever. I just thought it was odd, and Denver did not love that. But
Right.
yeah, I was like, look, here's you, look, playing his music to him.
There's such a weird situation. We were doing this show at Paramount with Scott Baio called The See Dad Run.
Yeah.
And Baio is friends with Steve Perry from Journey. And Steve Perry was visiting Baio on the set during one of our rehearsal days. And we get news up in the writer's room that, Steve Perry's down on the set. So we go down to see him. And when we get down there, somebody has turned on Don't Stop Believing and blasting it through the stage. Exactly like what you're talking about. Like, I guess the thought process is, hey, here's your music and here's you. And you're so close to your music and it means something to them. But I can only imagine it's driving them crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of want to say to the person, whoever does anything like that, they've heard that song, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was bizarre. So, Oh God was amazing, Love doing
and Terry
that.
Garr, because I can't get enough of her. I met her on an episode of Hollywood Squares of all things. She was really sweet, but just how was she to work with? Was she like
great.
She was a nightmare, right?
No, she was just fantastic. She was lovely, and I always wanted more from her. I mean, in Tootsie, she was so good. She was really good in Oh God too, and everything. What, Young Frankenstein and lots of stuff. I just wanted more of Terry Garr, and I'm saddened that she got sick, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay, so then you do a thing called Rainbow. You're playing Mickey Rooney. You work with Andrea McArdle, the original Annie. She's playing Judy. But Jackie Cooper's a director who is a kid actor. And I hear I've heard different stories about him. What was your experience?
What about Jackie Cooper?
Yeah.
I liked him. He hired me for two other jobs after that.
Oh, cool.
Aaron Spelling Show and a movie that is a whole nother stuff that never ended up. We ended up shooting for a little while, and then the film got shut down and never got completed. But that's a whole other thing. But I like Jackie Cooper. In fact, he invited me over. I remember swimming at his pool. He had like a cast crew get together a couple times in Beverly Hills at his behind his house in his pool. He had a son who went to USC with special needs. I can't remember his name, but I really liked him. He was much older than I, and I was a big Little Rascals fan, and a Champ, So I was, I was had lots of respect for him, and
the original Kid Crier.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then they made me go. So there wasn't streaming and everything, and even VHS. I can't remember when Rainbow was. Anyway, they made me go to like these obscure little like old movie theaters in downtown LA to see old films like Judy Garland films and Mickey Rooney films.
Oh, wow.
That's just to kind of get more of a, because it wasn't on demand at home. You couldn't just go, all right, let me pull
Right. Yeah, you had to find a print.
I had to almost get mugged at like midnight as a child going into this. Yeah. But that was cool. That was good.
Did you ever end up meeting Mickey Rooney?
No.
Okay.
But
all right. So then, in the '80s, here, I'm just like you do. Here's Boomer, which is a dog show, which is just like, if you know it, you know it, and I love it.
I played Scott
Chips.
Scott Baio and I and Tracy Gold. Tracy Wells. Tracy Gold. Yeah, we were brothers. We were like related, like Scott Baio and I. Like,
perfect. Yeah, exactly. When I think of you, I think of Scott. Like twins. Yeah. Oh, obviously. Chips, Family Ties, 3 after-school specials, of which I've never done one. CBS School Break Special, Different Strokes, The A-Team, Highway to Heaven, Cagney and Lacey, Hunter, Just the 10 of Us, as you mentioned, before getting to the best part of your career, which is Too Good to Be True. A pilot for ABC, which did not go. I think it was Lorimar, maybe, if I remember right.
Yes.
And it was a great idea. 4 guys stuck in an all-girls school. And it was myself, John Stockwell, Brian Backer, you, and it was Diane Franklin, Cindy Herron, Allison Roth, and Rhonda was...
You're good.
Gosh, she ended up being on soap operas. And it was Diane Muldaur and
Oh, Rhonda. Was that Sarah Buxton?
Sarah Buxton. Yes, thank you, Sarah Buxton. And then also Reed Shelton, the original Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah.
A killer cast. We did the pilot, and then it wasn't picked up. And I thought the pilot was very funny. I thought you were funny in it. Okay, now I've talked all about it. What do you remember about it? And what were your thoughts on the show?
These were my thoughts. We're no longer children actors. We're like, at least we're playing high school, but I think I was older than high school age at that time, right?
Yep.
I'm an actor living on my own trying to survive, and if I can end up with some people I really like in a multicam situation and do maybe 3 to 5 seasons on a show at that point in my life, yes, I'll take that, and I will do my best. So I really wanted that to go. This was my memory of the audition process. Do you remember? So we tested for the network at ABC in Century City for the network.
Like it was the most grueling process, at least for me. I don't know about you.
And forth and more and mixing and matching all kinds of different actors and actresses, just seeing who gelled or whatever. Yeah. And it was just like, at that point, they just kept having us back. I remember just thinking, tell me I don't have it at this point, or not. That's fine. I just need to move on with my life. But this is what happened. So we read for the network for the final day, right?
Uh-huh.
My character was a goofball, but anyway, he was designed to have, he wasn't a straight guy. He was designed to have some laughs, right? So I think...
your character's name was Ditto, and you would repeat whatever the other person said.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. But in a different way. And he would repeat himself.
Hey, Ditto, what are you doing here?
Well, what are you doing here?
This is our room, Ditto.
Well, we're here. We get to have a candidate. And we're real excited.
So I think it went well. I think, obviously it did. I booked it. Yours went well, too. You were there. You ended up getting the show, right? So after all that, and going back and forth, many different, dates to get over the hill, and it's that too good to be true thing again. So I get into the elevator, and I'm coming down, the Century City elevator down to wherever we park our car, and a woman is standing next to me or behind me, like whatever. She said something along the lines of, "We'll see you next Monday." She was one of the network ladies. One of the network
that's so
guys.
sweet.
She's, "I'm not supposed to tell you, but you really, you killed her," or something like that. I'm like,
yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh, wow, thank you. Wow, thank you." Oh, really? I'm like, inside I'm doing the whole like, "Oh my God, I don't have to eat mac and cheese for the next week," whatever. That's survival act.
Yeah.
Even if I was working on other things, that's just how we live,
Right. You win the lottery.
But okay, so either I got out of the elevator or she did, but next time I was alone, you do one of these, right? It was pouring rain. I get in my car. There was no navigation. I just started driving home thinking I was driving, and I got totally lost and ended up in the pouring rain and like, I don't even know, like South Central or something. I mean, it was like, I didn't know where I was. It took me hours to get home, and I did not care. There was no cell phone either. So I'm like,
right, yeah,
whatever. I did not care. And I just started, thinking about, could this be the one? Because I've done a lot of pilots and they didn't sell, or I was on a show, but it was like I was one of the last ones brought in and then it got canceled, or what,
yeah.
So like I really wanted that longevity. And so I finally got home, and then, got the call from the agent and all that. But it was a real, like, that one, and only that one and like 2 or 3 others in my whole life were like a heartbreak when I found out we didn't. The director of that lives right across the street, J.D. LeBeau.
J.D. LeBeau.
Yeah.
And do you know Emily Tracy, who wrote it? Do you know who her son is?
Dick Tracy? No, I have no idea.
Lucas Haas. So Lucas Haas is her son, and apparently what I heard from Emily was when he came to watch the taping of Too Good to Be True, he goes, "I want to do that. I want to do acting."
Oh, so it's our fault that we got him into acting.
It's our fault. So, you tell this story, which is great, and we'll talk about this because what you described is exactly the pilot feeling. I always called it the final 5 o'clock Friday audition, where they leave you literally like a cliffhanger. You go in, and it was like, and the reason why you got lost is Century City. You can pull out of there and you can leave 5 different ways, and whatever way they send you, if you're not in the right exit, you're going south instead of north or east instead of west. It's a mess.
Yeah.
So we do the audition, and I remember for ABC how extremely cold the place was for me. And like where we were auditioning, it was like this really dark room, at least for the network, and you couldn't see the people, if I remember. That's how I remember.
Do you mean cold in temperature or cold in their what?
Both, but like cold in temperature was like, it was just like I could not get over how cold it was. So obviously they have everybody, there reading, and Johnny Timko was there, and like another guy that I was reading against. And it's the end of the 5 o'clock Friday interview. You go down the elevator. I go down the elevator. We drive all the way back to Northridge. We get the call from the agent. And the agent says, well, they want you to come back on Monday. I'm like, what? And they go, they want you to read again for network on Monday. They couldn't make up their mind. So Monday, we're rehearsing. They start the show on Monday. So I go there again on Monday, and now Shane Sanutko is sitting across from me. So now I'm auditioning against Shane Sanutko. And so then I go in, and we read, and nobody's in my elevator telling me anything. And so I go home, and on my way home, I did have a pager. I get a page, and I stop off on, this is really just so specific for just you and I. On Sepulveda Boulevard, there's that entrance to the freeway, and there's a Chevron station like halfway up the hill where you're kind of like in Bel Air.
Foods there now, yeah.
Yeah, so I pull over there and I take the call, and they go, okay, you got the part, report to, and it was I think it was on the Mary Tyler Moore stage that we shot that. We shot it at MTM. And so that's how I found out, is that I went from the audition to the rehearsal.
I didn't know that. I didn't remember that.
It was crazy. Well, no, I mean, there'd be no way for you to know. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I get it. We did the show. I liked the show, and it was kind of like, to me, being an old salt of the business, kind of like a slam dunk. I mean, we got laughs. It was good. The cast was talented, and then they didn't pick us up.
Yeah, and Brian Backer was had a huge role, and he's a good actor, and was pivotal in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah. And John Stockwell went on to direct like Blue Crush, and he was in Top Gun and a whole bunch of other stuff. Cindy Herron.
Yeah. But I mean, but Brian Backer at the time, like Fast Times was a huge deal, Yeah. And we've got him. So I kind of thought that would, if anything, that was going to help us get picked up.
We'll be back after these messages.
Hey there, I'm Patrick Labyorteaux, and I've been an actor since I was a little kid. So I know what it's like to be a little kid actor. So I have a class here called Youth Weekly, and that meets every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and it is an awesome class if you are young and want to learn all about acting. We have a great set of kids, and it's taught on Zoom, so you can do it from anywhere. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your laptop, on an iPad. It's awesome. I've had kids take a class while they were in the car coming back from soccer practice. I swear to you. So if acting is in your blood, come to workingactorschool.com and check out the Youth Weekly class every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I'll see you there.
Act 3, present day.
Well, after Too Good to Be True, both of our careers just nosedive.
When did you go to rehab?
2019. So does it go to Kids Incorporated after that?
Yeah.
Because so quickly on this, Kids Incorporated was this really weird thing. It was, Mike Hartung, right? Mike Hartung, Jimmy Keegan, those guys?
Yes.
Okay. So I knew them from different things, but they were doing this show at the Roxy, which wasn't called Kids Incorporated, but that's the show. Was it on the Rocks?
Yeah.
Or that's the club, right?
I think it was called something like that. Yeah. Not something. Yeah. Okay. I remember this.
It was like Yeah, I people that I knew always called it, "Are you going to the show? You going to the show?" And it was like this live show they did on the weekends that basically was Kids Incorporated, just a bunch of like they would
Martika,
play music. Martika and
Shiro.
Fergie and Mark Price was there. They would do these different bits, and then they kind of built this into this show. I don't remember you being at that show as what your role was. So did they add that character for the show that you ended up doing?
Yeah. They added me as. I mean, I didn't do the live part. They added me from the beginning. But
Right.
They wanted to have like an Arnold's of Happy Days, kind of like an adult-ish
Yeah.
figure. I was much older than Fergie and all the other kids. Mario Lopez. I don't sing, I don't dance. Even though they made me a couple times do a couple different embarrassing things on that show in the 5 seasons, but they just kind of wanted the older brother, father figure, voice of reason. At the end of whatever. So I wasn't part of the live performances because what was I going to do? So yeah. That Kids Inc. was it was a bunch of good people. It was a show. It was bittersweet for me because it was a regular paycheck, but also creatively it wasn't I wasn't being fulfilled. But that's no one's fault.
Right. But that's why I was asking about it with Laugh-In, because I was wondering if they brought you in as what Kids Incorporated is what you were on Laugh-In. And like the older, and again, you're like 20 at this point.
Yeah.
The older generation of a 20-year-old
Yeah.
being brought in for like this, we're not the Mickey Mouse Club. We're just nowhere near the Mickey Mouse Club. We're not them, but they're exactly them. And then, okay, so before we get to the questions and before we get to those things later, after this era, you kind of go off and you do looping and directing.
Uh-huh.
How did looping happen for you? Because I've talked to Ike about it. I'm fascinated by it because for a long time it was such a great secret income before everybody found out about it.
Sure, it's a way to get residuals and your health insurance and all that stuff. Way to, you get a SAG scale contract. So how it came about for me was, as an on-camera actor, I was in this movie called Hollywood Nights, and in that film was a lot of people, Michelle Pfeiffer and Tony Danza and Robert Wool, Fran Drescher. Anyway, also Lee French was an actress in that film. A very, very funny actress, but she ended up starting her own ADR group, her own voiceover group, Loop Group. And I ran into her one day when I was relatively young still, but I was kind of phasing out of the on-camera stuff. She said, "Oh, Moosie, hi, hi, Lee." And we had a conversation. She asked me if I ever had done looping. Excuse me. And I had, but only like the way you and I had done our own looping. Like they want to re-record a line that we did as on-camera actors. Anyway, exchanged numbers. She called me in. The first thing I did was The Burbs with Tom Hanks. And and then years after that, I worked with Lee a lot and then other groups. And the LA Band Dogs, which was Ike Eisenman's, he founded that group. And then that's
it was you and Mad Dogs was Ike and David. Was it David Cowgill, my brother?
No, Dave. Well,
Dave,
it was there a lot, and so was your brother, and so were a lot of other good people. But no, it was Ike Eisenman, Mitch Carter, and Newell Alexander.
Mitch Carter.
Yeah.
Right, Newell. I'm sorry, Newell. Okay,
Newell,
gotcha. Yeah.
Newell's a great guy. They all. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was talking to Ike about it, it was always fascinating to me because it is. You've got to be extremely talented in the moment and then be extremely invisible because where you're working is on a sound stage, is a mixing stage.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might have this big, huge director there and he needs something exactly. You're like a tool where you go up to the mic, do exactly what they want, and then go away without kind of really being in the way. It's completely different than like on camera. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. It's
And then how did?
what's that?
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's a really good gig. It's one of the best gigs in LA because there's no heavy lifting. People can still do other things like on-camera work if they want to, or even things outside of the entertainment industry, and still do this. And it's perfect. I think it's having some problems in recent times. Since COVID and since the writer's strike, production in general has been different. You know.
Well, and unfortunately, it's also the perfect thing to set up with AI. They won't get it right away, but they'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I think they're already.
It's always been about a customized soundscape that
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
So how did you get into directing after all of this? I mean, it feels like it's in the business, but it's a completely different discipline.
Well, it's similar in some ways. In other ways, it's totally a whole nother beast. But so when I was on Kids Incorporated, I wasn't going to come back for a fifth season, and I was out shooting pool with a buddy of mine in Brentwood one night, and I ran into a guy who was one of the associate producers on Kids Incorporated, and it was that day that my agents let them know that I wasn't going to return for a fifth season because I was starting to work more on camera during hiatus and during the Kids Incorporated when I could. And he said, man, I hear you're not coming back, And I'm like, yeah, I know, it was hard. It was a great 4 years, yada, yada. And he said, well, we talked about that today. We want to have you back, but we're Disney Channel. We have no money. We have very little money to offer. What would get you back? I said, well, I don't know. How about if you got me into the DGA and let me direct an episode? He said, all right, let me see what I can do. Yeah. And then Tom Lynch, who I love so much, he's such a character, and I still am in contact with him today. He called my agent. What do you tell? You get Moosie to call me. We don't just give out episodes for people to direct all the time. Boom. And he's that kind of fiery, like you need to be sometimes, kind of a showrunner. And he had a great point. Gary Halvorson, who did most of Friends, and Jeff Margolis, who does the Oscars and all that stuff. They had some really good, talented multicam directors on that show. Why would I? But so they try to cast it, and it's not a pat on my back. It's just that they didn't really find anyone they liked. Tom later said this recently because we were talking. He said that actually what happened was when I was with the kids in a scene or hanging out, it didn't feel creepy to them. But when whoever else they got in there, he's like, I don't know, it felt creepy. So,
hey, Stacy, come sit on my lap.
Okay, enough. Anyway, so then I got a call, tell Moosie to come in, we'll talk. And so, he said, all right. He didn't even say, okay, we're going to give you, I sat down in Tom's office. Tom and Gary Biller was his partner at the time. I sat down, he didn't even tell me, okay, you're going to direct. I sat down and he goes, you're going to be the first one to show up. You're going to be the last one to leave. You're going to study behind this director. You're going to be studying behind that director. Yada, 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 yada. Get out of my office. We were buddies, actually. He could talk that way. We were friends.
Right, yeah.
And sorry, long-winded. That's how I got into the DGA. And I really haven't even directed all that much. I've directed a lot of man on the street, like segment stuff. I did a show for Comedy Central called Too Late with Adam Carolla. I directed an episode of Reba. I've done a pilot, The Peacemaker, and a pilot called Boys Town. And we went to Chicago and shot. And really, a ton of theater. And that's really it. So let's encapsulate my directing career. But I love it. I love to direct. I love the process, So I didn't want to be an on-camera actor anymore. But I love the process, like I'm sure you do.
So I've never had the opportunity to direct. Tina and I ran the show, so we were showrunners and writers. But what I imagine, and I'd like your comment on it. What I'd imagine a director is, in my mind, as an actor. Let's start there. As an actor, you get your character, and then you act as a filter of like what you're going to see of that character, how you're going to bring him to life. A director, I think, is the master filter for all things. It's like he is keeping the tone of the show the way it should be, picking and choosing what works right. All the different department heads kind of report to the director. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think it varies. I think you're right about a lot of that stuff, but it's all subjective. But it varies. The director, he or she, could be someone who gets in the way and tells everyone how it's going to be, or he or she could sit back, trust that they have talent and good materials, put them together, see what happens, and then just go shape and fix the things that aren't working, and then keep everything else natural that's happening naturally, as long as the story's being told and you're being true to what you're trying to do. And everything in between, I don't know, like there's no real handbook to directing. There's no real formula except for, bottom line is make it work the best it can work. Just make it happen. There's no like, well, as long as you do A, B, C, D, and E, you're good. No, there are no directions. Oddly,
we had the guy who directed our pilot was a guy named Andrew Wayman, and he said something which blew me away. I'd never thought about it before. We were shooting the pilot. We were borrowing, or we were using a set from another show that had already been built, because pilots, they don't build your own sets. They got this other set. And in the show that they had used, one of the characters had a wheelchair. So the set was rather large because they needed to fit the wheelchair inside this set. Yeah. And it was a traditional sitcom. And we went to go look at the set, and the director, Andrew, we walk in and he looks at the set and he goes, "It's going to be too big. It's going to add 5 minutes to the show." And I didn't understand it.
Oh, the cross.
I couldn't understand it. It's the crosses. It's like when you said it earlier, the sets on TVs look so small for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons is when you're doing a sitcom, you got to have entrances and exits. And he was looking at it, and it's exactly like what you called out. Yeah. It's like it's going to add so much time for them to get from the door to the other door. Yeah. And so that was always fascinating to me, thinking usually as an actor, not as a, an orchestrator.
Yeah,
all right, so here we are.
Blocking's a tricky gig depending on what you're doing, but like a multicam block is tricky because you're not just dealing with actors. You have to make all that look natural. Now you got to get these cameras crawling all over the place, picking up the right shots.
We'll be back after these messages. Hey, I'm Patrick Labyorteaux, and I play an actor on TV, and I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I know what it's like if you are in a class with people, and sometimes you just want to have that one-on-one connection with the person that you're working with to go over, I don't know, a particular scene, or maybe you have an audition, or maybe you just want the privacy to try stuff that you don't really know is going to work and not have anyone look at you. Well, I have the perfect solution for you. It's called One-on-One with Patrick Labyorteaux. You can book your time at workingactorschool.com, and it's just me and you for an hour going over whatever it is you want to work on, breaking down the script, talking about character, figuring out your intention, the spine of the scene, everything that goes in to making a dynamite performance. So if you're interested in acting and want that one-on-one personal attention, check out One-on-One with Patrick Labyorteaux. You can find all the information you need at workingactorschool.com. Act 4, questions.
Okay, so we're into the questions. So this is going to end our episode here. But the questions are, Tina's got to know. Tina.
I thought it was going to be a Ginger Marianne thing. All right, go ahead.
Okay, well, while we're there.
No.
Okay, so we're going to start with That's Showbiz. That's our first question. And that is, what is the most Hollywood moment in your life?
God, that could mean so many things. Gosh.
Besides right now, of course.
Yeah. Most Hollywood moment. I found myself on a boat had nothing to do with me working or whatever, but I found myself on a boat overnight, crawling slowly so we didn't get back too early from Catalina to San Pedro or Long Beach, or no, I'm sorry, Marina del Rey, down underneath when I used to drink, having shots with Nicolas Cage, the Coppola brother and sister, Sophia, and
Carmine?
no, oh gosh, I'm such an idiot.
Roman?
Roman, yes, yeah, and Crispin Glover.
Oh, wow.
And then other people that were with us were all asleep in the cabins, and we're just down there chatting away. I guess that was very much of a Hollywood moment, if that's what you mean by that question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, also, you already just dumped the Groucho one, but still, that's even a better. That's,
but
I like
really
that story.
I don't love my answer because then that's all name dropping. But I'm not sitting around hobnobbing with these people all the time, and that's not like a. But I think I knew what you meant. Like, what's the most like?
No, that's exactly the answer.
If this is a freaking Hollywood moment, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's Showbiz Part 2. What's the most embarrassing Hollywood moment in your life?
Should I just name show titles? Embarrassing show moment in my life. Gosh. Okay. Well, I did this nighttime It wasn't Aaron Spelling. It was, I can't remember. It was one of those like Dynasty, Dallas, kind of the, what are the nighttime soap opera-y kind of drama?
Falcon's Crest, like David Jacobs did a couple of them. Yeah.
And they wanted me to look like, of course, the person who was my dad, Scott Marlowe, and Scott Marlowe had curly, kinky hair. And so I would go in every morning, hours before everybody else, and they'd do like a temporary perm. Like, it was, to me, it was embarrassing. I hated it. But I guess I don't really know. I'm sure it's not because I've never been embarrassed. It's because I probably don't know which to choose from. I've embarrassed myself so many times.
All right, number 3, show me the money. What is your biggest missed financial opportunity? In this town, we're always given opportunities, but, sometimes we miss them.
Pretty easy. I was second choice to play Woody Boyd on Cheers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I can see that. You've been a really good Woody.
Well, I appreciate that. But I actually, of course I wanted that role. Great writing. I loved the show and all that. He was too good. He was meant to do that show. In fact, his character's name, Woody Boyd, was written before the audition started. Woody's not that common of a name. His name is Woody Harrelson going into it.
Yeah.
And
I was going to ask you whether they've changed it to Moosie Boyd.
Yeah, no, I doubt that. But that's show business. You're going to come in second choice. You were in the conversation. You were at the network, whatever. But Woody Harrelson, he was perfect. He was just great for that show. He was perfect.
What's funny is that, we were talking about the pilot that we did. That character of Ditto, I could see as being a very good one-to-one for the Woody character.
I could see that. Now that you say that, yeah.
Yeah, I can see you doing that character because I've seen that performance from you. Number 4, show and tell as a teenager. What's your favorite poster in your room and how did you get it?
Jacqueline Smith, and I don't remember. All I know is I got it. Out of the Angels, it was Jacqueline Smith.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. Yeah.
I understand. There was no waiting on that one. You knew exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Number 5, Showdown.
Has she mentioned me?
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
I haven't interviewed her, but from what I hear through the grapevine, she has not. Sadly.
What's funny, did you hear something through the grapevine that didn't happen? Okay.
Right, exactly. All of my sources tell me that no, she's not. She's not.
Funny.
Number 5, Showdown. Number 5 is Showdown. What is the best thing you've ever done and the worst thing you've ever done? Professionally.
In life or professionally?
No, professionally. Yeah, like as an actor or director or whatever. Whatever you're doing.
there was a scene in a film I did called American Hot Wax. I don't. When you say best, it's all subjective. So I'm just going to say maybe, perhaps, more proud of. You know,
Of course, no, of course. It's your opinion. It's your opinion.
it's either Homeward Bound or American Hot Wax. So I'm going to say American Hot Wax. And the worst, it's a tie between everything else I've done. No, it's I don't know. I've done some bad ones, man. Oh man. The worst. I can't. You know, here's Boomer was pretty bad. Like it just
Yeah.
yeah. Gosh, I hate
Here's
that.
Boomer is like the low rent Lassie, basically. Boomer
Yeah.
was the new Lassie, and
And I feel terrible saying that because those people who made that show hired me a lot. You know.
well,
in
but
my-
that's the whole thing. When I ask this question, it's like it's your opinion of like I was horrible in this movie that I did called Arctic Armageddon, where I'm just I look at my performance going I'm absolutely horrible. Has nothing to do with the people.
Right.
I mean the movie's not that great, but I'm not bad. I'm not good in any part of it.
right. The Munsters today. I'm gonna take Boomer out of there.
Okay.
Munsters today. Yeah. The show just didn't work. I like the people. Lee Merriweather, John Schuck, and Bonnie
Yep.
Franklin was a director in one of the episodes I did. I did a couple of them. Yeah, there we go. Munsters today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, number 6, no show. What part did you want but didn't get?
Back to the Future.
Haven't
was-
heard of that one.
Very, very close on that one, you know. And then when they ended up replacing Eric Roberts with Michael, but you know, they made a good. Michael J. Fox is damn good.
Yeah.
In his prime, probably now, regardless of what he's challenged with, and in that film, he was perfect. He was a perfect young Republican on Family Ties too. I mean, he knew that character, and he was really, really good in it. There was also Mask with Eric Stoltz, oddly enough.
So Stoltz was like your show blocker. That's 2
A little
right
bit.
there.
Yeah, I met with Peter Bogdanovich a couple times, and I was kind of close to Mask, I think. And I also, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quality products. I get it. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand how, there's a guy that broke up with Michelle Pfeiffer. I won't name him, but like he breaks up with Michelle Pfeiffer and you're like, yeah, because sometimes you're just not a right fit, right? Sometimes even if it's Michelle Pfeiffer, it's just not the right fit.
Yeah.
And for acting, it's the same thing. It's like, it has nothing to do with your talent. If you're in the room, if it's between you and down to a couple of guys, it's not the talent. It's the fit for what that filtering system
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And I think it's, what's the phrase they say that it's every actor gets the part that they're right for? Something like that. I should probably get that, put that to memory.
We'll learn that eventually.
I'll learn something. Favorite show. What movie has most influenced you?
Influenced me. Well, I absolutely loved Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid as a. I mean, that's what there's a couple movies I carried with me my whole life. Like, that made me want to continue acting or be an actor and all that stuff. I'm not sure if that's your question. Heaven Can Wait, for some reason, always stuck with me.
I love Heaven Can Wait.
Influenced me.
But that's the answer. I mean, that's where, exactly.
Yeah.
What was it that you kind of take with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a big Heaven Can Wait fan.
Yeah, that was a good film.
And there's that great line that Charles Grodin has. He's hiding in the curtains.
Yeah.
She goes, "Why did you say something?" He goes, "He was too powerful." It was just such a perfect read.
Grodin was great in that. Diane Cannon,
Yeah.
Buck Henry, and it was just and of course Warren Beatty,
Right.
Jack Warden, I think was in it. Yeah, just a good film.
And then it's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. Dave Grusin does like the most amazing music that I still needle drop. Okay, so show me again. What's the movie you rewatch the most?
In my life, what have I seen the most? I don't really even know. Perhaps something silly, because when I was younger and we lived with a bunch of guys, we used to like pop the same comedies over and over again, like Stripes or Arthur. We just watch these movies over and over again. So I mean, if you're just talking numbers, I think it's probably Arthur. We've watched the most.
So you had 12 relatively good years.
Yeah. Oh my God. We were probably so obnoxious because we'd go around. We wouldn't go around intentionally throwing it at people, but where we were in our world, we would just quote Arthur. You know.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. And then finally, show me some love. What is your favorite performance of mine?
Performance of yours, I would have to say, I can't remember your character's name in Too Good to Be True, but you were very funny in Too
Joey.
Good to Be True. What was it?
Joey.
Of course. It was your character in Too Good to Be True, because I actually got to see it in person and be on stage with you. I think that's don't shoot me, but I went through a period of not watching a lot of television, and I haven't seen a lot of Jag, and I know you were, one of the main stars of that show, and you did.
Well, are you a grandfather? Have you been in the military?
No.
Well, okay, then you're not in the demo.
I thought I was filling out some kind of form.
Epilogue.
Yeah, man, this has been great, and I came
Absolutely.
up with the show because it's natural for you to be doing this, and you're very good at it. And I stopped to watch an episode that just popped up because I do my own podcast as well. I think there's room for all
pitch
of
that
us.
out. Tell everybody what the
Pop Culture Retro.
Uh-huh.
And Pop Culture Retro isn't just us actors and for whatever. It's about pop culture. So we'll have musicians and someone who invented a video game that we all grew up in the 80s and stuff like that, and it's fun. But we do primarily have celebrities or whatever like you, but like our conversation with celebrity X. Would be different. It's a different dynamic than your conversation. You know what I mean? So it's not like, I think there's room for everybody in this.
Oh, for sure. And it's with you and Jonathan Rosen. What I love about the setup is you've got like an inside man and a normie. Jonathan Rosen is the person that may not have worked with inside the business, even though he's very accomplished. Right. And you're the one that knows the person or have worked with the person or knows the inside. It's a good dynamic.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I enjoy it, and it's a lot like this. It's just talking, and I'm sure you get this too. Like, we're lucky enough to actually know and like these people that you're having these conversations with. So like you're getting your celebrity friends on, and anyway, so I stopped and I saw, Robbie Riss, Pat Labyorteaux. I go, what? I gotta watch. The first thing I hear. F Drier, that F and Drier. I don't want, I know you can curse on your show. I just won't discuss. But he's that F and Drier, and I'm like, I swear it's like all I did was click wherever it was right at the beginning. All right, Robbie, still bitter about that.
Shots fired.
Oh God thing. And I love Robbie, and of course we just tease each other about all the kind of stuff like that, but he actually runs with the fact that people think he killed the Brady Bunch, when he is so in fact didn't. He just happened to be the fall guy there for that show, but he embraces it. I know a lot of people would be like, defending themselves. He's like, hell yeah, bring down any show. You got a show, I'll kill it. You gotta love that.
He's definitely the same kid that we grew up with. I mean, it wasn't like we were all baked kind of in the same you're baked in and you have your personality.
Yeah.
I was always fascinated with Robbie's career in that it was like 6 episodes, and it was like his fate was sealed for, his entire life, and that's a lot to carry. So, he's super talented otherwise.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anything else you want to pimp out?
I just want to tell you real quick. No, I'm not pimping anymore. But when Robbie was on my podcast, midway through, I asked him what it was like to work with George Burns and John Denver and Oh God. And I went, shoot, I don't write these questions, Robbie. I'm sorry. So I'm nothing to pimp out right now. Just doing this podcast, and I've got something I'm trying to develop. You know what that's like. So I'm writing. I'm doing some writing.
Always. That's awesome. So one last thing before we leave, I just had to bring it up. You are with Erin Murphy. You guys are a couple. It's like a TV. She was on Bewitched. She played little Tabitha. Mm-hmm. It would seem on the outside that, that's obvious. But how do you guys meet? Where do you guys meet?
Well, we didn't know each other growing up. We weren't child actor friends. We just didn't know each other. I never did a Bewitched. And so she was over there like some of the lucky kids who had one good long show, whereas you and I were like journeymen all over the place. So anyway, we met in my home because a mutual friend, another child actor, Katie Kurtzman, she called me one day and said, "Hey, I want to get together, a bunch of just old child actors, not like nothing in public or nothing like, hey, look at us old, where are they now people or whatever,
Right.
Because I never liked that. So she said, but I don't have a place to do it. Can we do it at your house? And I said, okay, sure. So we had like all these, she handled the party and invited people and just used my house. I'm just like, just tell me when I'm supposed to make sure my house is clean and all that. And then all these like Waltons and Brady's or whatever and walking into my house. Anyway, so I met Erin that day for the first time. That was about 13 years ago, and then we didn't really start seeing each other until about 12 years ago.
So that's sweet, man.
Yeah,
good for you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And they'll never know this, but we had a bunch of technical glitches before the show, which you were super cool about. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being so patient and telling such awesome stories, man.
Oh, Patrick, thanks for having me, buddy. And I look forward to talking to you in the near future. And I forgot to bring up your blue Corvette I used to see you driving around in all the time. That was yeah. All right, buddy.
Yeah, well, we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.
Hey, everybody. I'm so glad that you're enjoying the podcast and checking it out. It is an audio podcast wherever you get your audio podcast, and it's a video podcast over on YouTube. My socials are all patrick.labyorteaux. And that is on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. I'm everywhere. If you want information on the school, you can go to workingactorsschool.com. We have classes going all the time. It's a lot of fun. I suggest you check it out. Hey, we'll see you next time.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.